is the night of July 15th, 2016. In Ankara, unusual movements of troops and aircraft are already being noticed. Rumors of a possible takeover are spreading, and key locations across the capital are coming under pressure. At the headquarters of Turkey's public broadcaster, TRT, events move quickly. Armed soldiers enter the building and take control of the corridors and studios. Staff members are gathered together, their hands restrained, and told not to use their phones or speak out of turn. News anchor Tijan Karash is among them. She is separated from the group and brought into a studio, told she will read a statement on behalf of a group calling itself the Peace at Home Council. She later explains that this happens under direct threat, with no freedom to refuse or edit a single word. When she appears on screen, she is not there by choice. She sits upright at the news desk and begins to read the prepared text.
Gaflet, dalalet ve hatta hıyanet içerisinde olan Cumhurbaşkanı ve hükümet yetkilileri tarafından temel hak ve hürriyetler zedelenmiş, kuvvetler ayrılığına dayalı laik ve demokratik hukuk düzeni fiilen ortadan kaldırılmıştır. Devletimiz uluslararası ortamda hak ettiği itibarını yitirmiş ve evrensel temel insan haklarının
The statement announces that the armed forces have taken control of the country's administration, that martial law has been declared, and that a new order is being imposed. Her expression tells a different story than the words. Viewers can see that she is tense and unsettled. Later, she will say that people watching could see the fear in her eyes and the way her lips trembled as she delivered the message that had been placed in front of her. Once the statement is finished, TRT does not continue as normal. Programming is cut, and the channel goes off air for a time. Outside the building, police and civilians gather and push to retake the broadcaster from the soldiers holding it. Forces loyal to the government eventually reclaim the complex. The soldiers inside are overpowered, and the staff are released from the rooms where they were being held. The channel resumes broadcasting, this time under the control of its regular personnel. When Tijan Karash returns in front of the cameras, her role is completely different. She tells viewers that she had been held against her will, that she read the earlier declaration under threat, and that the words spoken during the coup attempt did not represent her own views. The moment becomes one of the defining images of that night. A news anchor compelled to present a takeover message on behalf of a group of officers, and then later explaining to the same country that what they saw was not a normal broadcast, but a hostage reading under pressure. It is early morning on August 20th, 2019. A commuter bus leaves São Gonçalo and heads toward Rio de Janeiro, crossing the long Rio-Niterói Bridge over Guanabara Bay. Inside, passengers are half awake, thinking about work, classes, and the day ahead. Partway across the bridge, a young man stands up. He is 20 years old and carrying a handgun, along with bottles filled with fuel. He orders the driver to stop and position the bus sideways across the lanes, blocking traffic in both directions. The mood on board changes instantly. Passengers are told to stay in their seats. Some have their hands tied with plastic strips. The fuel bottles are hung inside the bus, and the man says he can set everything on fire if he chooses. On the bridge, traffic grinds to a halt. Cars and trucks stack up behind the stranded bus. The long span becomes a frozen line of vehicles while the authorities move in. Police cars and special units arrive and establish a perimeter around the scene. Negotiators begin talking to the man. Time passes in long, tense minutes. He allows some of the hostages to leave in small groups, first a few, then more, walking down the bridge toward safety as officers escort them away. The standoff stretches into hours. The bus remains stranded above the water, surrounded by armed police, with a shrinking number of passengers still inside. Every movement at the doorway and every shift inside the vehicle is watched carefully. A sniper from the Special Operations Unit takes a position. From a distance, he waits for a clear line of sight. On the bridge, the man steps partly out of the bus, close enough to the doorway that his upper body is exposed. When the opening appears, the sniper fires. Shots ring out, and the man collapses near the steps of the bus. Officers rush forward, move on to the vehicle, and guide the remaining hostages away. The siege is over. The hijacker does not survive his injuries. No passengers lose their lives in the incident, though many are shaken and need support after hours under threat on the bridge. Across Brazil, people have watched the entire standoff unfold in real time. A commuter bus turned into the center of a live hostage drama at rush hour, ending in a single moment when a sniper's decision brought 4 hours of tension to an abrupt close. It is June 1st, 2020. Australian reporter Amelia Brace and cameraman Tim Myers are broadcasting live for 7 News. They are standing near Lafayette Square in Washington, just across from the White House, covering the protests unfolding there. The crowd is large and tense, but the crew is focused on capturing what is happening in the street behind them. Amelia is mid-sentence when police advance toward the group of reporters positioned along the sidewalk. Officers move forward quickly. Tim's camera is rolling when one officer rushes past and strikes him with a shield.
Donald Trump is about to speak. It's getting a bit tense.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, are you okay? Or your cameraman? Hello, Amelia. The police just charged at Amelia and our 7 News cameraman there, and looks like a policeman just punched our cameraman.
Which is interesting because they're not discriminating between protesters and the media here. Amelia, can you hear us yet?
Amelia, are you there?
Guys, you heard us.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. You heard us telling them that we were media, but they don't care. They're being indiscriminate at the moment. They chased us down that street, and as you see, they were firing these rubber bullets at everyone. There is tear gas, and now we are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman, Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment.
The lens jerks hard as the impact hits, and Amelia turns toward Tim just as another officer swings a baton in her direction. Amelia is heard saying they are media as she tries to move back. The line doesn't slow anything down. An officer pushes her as the group is forced backward out of the area. The camera stays live through the hits, the shoving, and the scramble to get clear. Within seconds, the crew is pushed farther down the street. The broadcast shows the jolting camera, Amelia trying to keep her footing, and Tim steadying the equipment as they retreat from the advancing line. It is January 12th, 2019. In Chico, California, emergency lights cover a quiet residential street. Police units, fire trucks, and ambulances are crowded around a single house where a mass overdose has turned a normal night into a major incident. KCAL reporter Megan Mackey is there to explain what happened. She is streaming live for her station, talking about the response and the number of people taken to the hospital. Behind her, tape and patrol cars mark off the home at the center of the call. The mood around her is tense. Friends, neighbors, and loved ones of the people inside are standing nearby, watching the scene and trying to process the news they are getting. Some are quiet, others are visibly upset. As Megan continues her live report, a woman moves toward her. The woman steps into the space between the camera and the reporter and starts shouting that the coverage is disrespectful. Her voice rises, and the tone quickly turns aggressive. The confrontation escalates in seconds.
Newscast on KCAL News Channel 7. I wanted to go ahead and provide you guys the latest information that we know so you guys can stay informed. So I'm currently on Santina Court in Chico, and this is where the incident occurred at approximately 9 o'clock this morning. Now I'm going to walk you over to what is happening now because I've actually learned some new information going on. So I'm going to take this. This is disrespectful. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? It's disrespectful. Get the out of here!
The woman closes the distance and shoves Megan. The impact knocks her off balance, and she falls as the phone and camera angle drop toward the ground. Megan screams as she goes down. A man nearby steps in, and voices overlap in the background as the live stream abruptly ends. For viewers watching on their phones, the last image is a tilted view of the pavement and scattered noise from the scene. Police at the location respond quickly. Officers move to separate the attacker from the reporter and bring the situation under control. Megan is helped up and checked over. She is badly shaken, but not seriously hurt. Later, she tells her audience that she is okay and thanks people for their messages. Her station confirms that she was frightened but unharmed, and that the woman involved was taken into custody and later faced charges in court. It is the night of April 21st, 2018. In the coastal city of Bluefields, protests over government social security reforms have turned into days of tension. Streets that would normally be quiet at that hour are filled with police, protesters, and damage from earlier clashes. Journalist Ángel Gahona is out in the middle of it. He holds his phone in one hand and a microphone in the other, streaming live from the street for his local news program. Around him, a small group follows at a distance as he walks toward a public building that has been hit during the unrest. At the entrance, a cash machine and glass are broken. Ángel moves closer, aiming his camera at the damaged ATM and the shattered area around it. He talks calmly as he approaches, trying to show viewers exactly what has been left behind after the confrontation. Then a single shot rings out. There is no warning visible on screen. No sudden rush, no figure stepping into frame, just the sharp sound of a gunshot cutting through
Los
the
jóvenes
night.
se están corriendo hacia el obelisco al ver la presencia policial aquí. Vamos a acercarnos nosotros hacia el daño que han hecho en la parte de enfrente de lo que es la entrada de la alcaldía de Bluefield. Esto es lo que se está viviendo en este momento en la alcaldía. Podemos ver la puerta y la pared de lo que es el cajero de Banpro total.
Cayó Ángel.
Angel drops where he stands. He falls forward near the damaged machine, and the phone angle goes with him. The image jolts and tilts as the people nearby shout and run toward him. The live stream captures only the first moments of the chaos. Voices overlap, some calling his name, others reacting to the sound and the shock. Feed ends, leaving only the knowledge that something serious has just happened. He does not recover from the wound. Later, it is confirmed that he died from the shot he received while working on that broadcast. The clip travels far beyond Bluefields, shared as one more example of how dangerous it had become to document what was happening on Nicaragua's streets. In the months and years that follow, questions about who fired and who is responsible do not fully go away. Rights groups and international bodies continue to call for a clear, reliable accounting of that night, when a local reporter walked toward a broken ATM to show the damage, and a single gunshot turned his own live report into the final record of his life. It is June 8th, 2025. In downtown Los Angeles, demonstrators are gathered near the Metropolitan Detention Center, protesting new immigration raids and planned mass removals. Sirens, chants, and loudspeaker orders mix together in the background. Australian correspondent Lauren Tomasi is on the street for 9 News. She faces the camera with a line of police behind her, explaining that officers and National Guard units have started to move in and that mounted units are helping push people out of the area. As she talks, the police line shifts. Officers advance through the smoke and noise, some on foot, some on horseback further back. Lauren keeps describing what viewers can't see off to the sides, one eye on the crowd and one on the crew. Then, behind her, one officer raises a launcher. He aims in her direction and fires.
Has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shut the You okay?
I'm good. Where? Where did it hit you? Just my leg, I'm good.
Fascists! Report that they're fascists! You're okay. You're not okay. Fascists!
A less lethal round strikes her in the lower leg. She cries out, grabbing at her leg as the live cross suddenly turns from description into reaction. The camera jolts as the crew moves. They step sideways and back, trying to clear the immediate line of fire. Lauren can be heard saying she's okay, even as she limps out of the frame, putting distance between herself and the advancing line. Within moments, they are off the front edge of the confrontation. The shot changes and the broadcast moves on, but the footage of the on-air hit is already captured. A reporter doing a standard live update, struck by a crowd control round while police push forward around her. Later, 9 News confirms that she was bruised but not seriously hurt. It is January 2nd, 2023. Monday Night Football is in Cincinnati. The Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals are deep into a crucial late-season game with a packed stadium and a national TV audience watching every snap. Early in the first quarter, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow drops back and finds T. Higgins over the middle. Higgins catches the ball, lowers his shoulder, and drives forward. Bills safety Damar Hamlin comes in to make the tackle, wrapping him up near midfield. To everyone watching, it looks like a solid, routine play. Damar stands up after the hit. He straightens for a moment, takes a step as if to reset for the next play, and then suddenly falls straight backward, landing flat on his back on the turf. There is no second collision. He just goes down and does not get up. Trainers and paramedics sprint onto the field. Within seconds, medical staff are at his side. Players from both teams back away at first to give them space, then slowly close in, watching in shock as the professionals realize this is not a standard injury. CPR begins at midfield. Chest compressions are started and continued for many minutes. An automated external defibrillator is used as the team works to restart his heart. the stadium falls nearly silent, with players kneeling or standing nearby, some turned away, others with hands on teammates' shoulders. An ambulance is driven onto the field. After about 10 minutes of on-field care, Hamlin is placed on a stretcher and moved into the vehicle, still receiving treatment. The ambulance leaves the stadium and heads to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, while his teammates surround and follow it as far as they can. The game does not continue. Players from both teams go to their locker rooms as the NFL and coaches confer. Soon, it is announced that play is suspended. The focus has shifted completely away from the scoreboard to the condition of one player whose life has just been in danger on live television. Overnight, the Bills confirmed that Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest and that his heartbeat was restored on the field before he reached the hospital. In the days that follow, doctors say he is making remarkable progress. Months later, he explains that the episode was commotio cordis, a rare disruption of the heart's rhythm from a blow to the chest, and eventually returns to the NFL after a long recovery. For many viewers, that night becomes one of the most sobering moments ever seen in a football broadcast. A simple tackle, a player standing up, and then a collapse that turned a regular season game into a real-time fight to save a young man's life in front of an entire country. It is a hot April morning in 2024. Kolkata is under a severe heat wave, with temperatures already climbing even before noon. Inside Doordarshan's centrally air-conditioned office, the cooling system is struggling and the studio is warmer than usual. Newsreader Lopamudra Sinha takes her place at the desk. She begins a live bulletin focused on the weather emergency, reports on soaring temperatures, pressure on the power grid, and government advisories asking people to stay indoors and hydrated. For the first part of the bulletin, everything feels routine. She reads the first stories clearly, moving from one heatwave item to the next. The bulletin now reaches a segment dedicated to heat advisory guidelines, introduced by a short on-screen animation. While that animation is playing, everything changes. In that moment, her blood pressure drops and she blacks out. She collapses back in her chair, off camera. In the control room and on the studio floor, colleagues see her slump and rush to her side.
রবিবার পর্যন্ত দক্ষিণবঙ্গের 8টি জেলায় অতি তীব্র তাপপ্রবাহের সতর্কবার্তা জারি করেছে আবহাওয়া দপ্তর। আজ তাপমাত্রা গুরুত্ব দেওয়া উচিত।
সেটা হচ্ছে হাঁটুর বাত বা নি অ্যাপথাইটিস। তো প্রথমেই আপনার থেকে জানতে চাইবো এই হাঁটুর বাত বলতে আমরা কি বুঝি এবং কত রকমের এই হাঁটুর বাত?
হাঁটু একটা হাঁটুতে সেটা হচ্ছে অস্টিও আর্থ্রাইটিস, সেটা বয়সজনিত আর্থ্রাইটিস। একটু মাঝ বয়সে এবং বেশি বয়সে এটা হয় এবং এটা কি হয় হাঁটুর ভেতরে আমি একটা ছবি দেখাচ্ছি, সেটা হচ্ছে
ছবিটা দেখানো যায় দর্শক বন্ধুরা,
তাহলে আমাদের সুবিধা হবে। তো সেই ছবিটা হচ্ছে আপনি বাদিকের যে ছবিটা আছে।
Later, doctors confirm that the extreme heat and her naturally low blood pressure combined to trigger the episode. When she explains it afterward, she describes the moment the teleprompter vanished from her sight and everything went black. For viewers, it becomes a story about a newsreader covering a dangerous heat wave, while her own body reacts to the very conditions she is warning people about. It is January 17th, 2017. Outside the Antonio Dutra Ladera prison in Ribeirão das Neves, near Belo Horizonte, families of inmates stand gathered along the street. Inside the facility, there has been unrest and concern over conditions, and people outside are desperate for news. Reporter Larissa Carvalho is there to explain what is happening. She stands with a microphone in front of the prison entrance, describing the situation: overcrowding, fear among relatives, and a wider wave of trouble in Brazil's prison system at the time. As she speaks, tension in the crowd spills over. A woman breaks away from the group of relatives and rushes straight toward her. There is no warning, no build-up that anyone on camera can see. The woman collides with Larissa and knocks her to the ground. The force of the push sends her onto her back on the pavement. For a brief moment, the shot is filled with movement, uniforms, and confusion as people around them react. 2 police officers move in immediately. They grab the woman and pull her away from Larissa, separating the two and restraining the attacker. The scene is chaotic for a few seconds, and then the broadcast cuts away from the struggle. Larissa suffers a minor injury to her arm. She is checked and given time to recover, but soon after, she returns to air. She tells viewers that she is okay, that it was a scare, and that she was only lightly hurt before stepping back from the location. The woman is taken to a nearby police station and later released. Larissa files a report over what happened, and broadcasting groups publicly condemn the attack as an unacceptable response to press coverage. The incident becomes one more example of how fragile the line can be at tense scenes like this. It is July 26, 2022. In a London studio, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak stand at their podiums, facing each other under bright debate lights. The Conservative leadership race has narrowed to these two, and this is one of the big televised showdowns. Kate McCann is moderating for Talk TV and The Sun. She has already steered questions on tax, spending, and party trust. The stakes are high, but the rhythm of the night feels familiar. Question, answer, follow-up, applause. Partway through, the camera is locked on Liz Truss. She is mid-answer, looking straight ahead as she talks about policy. Then, from somewhere off camera, there is a sudden, sharp crashing sound. Truss jumps and looks to the side.
People with you when they are suffering and things are likely to get worse.
Well, the cost of not doing anything to stand up to Vladimir Putin is immense. If he succeeds in Ukraine, he's not going to stop there. He's going to challenge the freedom and democracy. Oh my God.
She stiffens, eyes widening, and quickly says, "Oh my God," as she moves toward the direction of the noise. For viewers at home, nothing else is visible except her reaction and the startled silence that follows. What they cannot see is that Kate McCann has collapsed in the studio. Behind the camera's frame, the moderator has fainted at her podium. Production staff and people on set rush to her as the control room reacts. The broadcast cuts away almost immediately. The debate disappears from the screen and is replaced by a holding slide and then other programming. A short message explains that there has been a medical issue and that the live event cannot continue. Later that night, the channel confirms that Kate is okay. Talk TV says she fainted, that she has been checked by medical staff, and that the debate will not resume. The next evening, she is back on air, explaining that she is a little bruised and embarrassed, but fine. It is August 2018. At the Army 2018 Defense Exhibition near Moscow, rows of military vehicles, aircraft, and technology are on display. Officials, officers, and journalists move through the halls and outdoor stands, talking about new projects and equipment. Reporter Daria Kozlova is there for Russia 24. She stands beside Industry and Trade Minister Denis Manturov, holding a microphone as they discuss Russian technology and industrial cooperation. The interview is part of ongoing coverage from the event. At first, everything seems routine. She asks a question and listens to his answer with the cameras rolling. Around them, the exhibition continues, with people walking past and the background filled with banners and displays. Then, in the middle of the segment, something changes. Daria starts to look unsteady. Her speech softens and her posture shifts. She sways slightly where she stands, as if the heat and long hours are suddenly catching up with her. A moment later, she begins to fall. Her body tilts backward and her legs no longer keep her upright. Manturov turns toward her, reaching out as she loses balance so she doesn't go straight to the floor. The broadcast does not show what happens next in full. As she starts to go down and the minister moves to support her, the live feed cuts away, returning control to the studio and leaving only a brief, abrupt glimpse of the collapse on air. Off camera, colleagues hurry to help. She is given water and checked over, and reports say she escapes with only minor injuries. Those close to the situation later point to fatigue, heat, and lack of food at the busy event as likely factors. In the days after, outlets note that she is recovering. The clip continues to circulate online as a reminder of how demanding live coverage can be. It is a cold evening in 2023. In Edmonton, people have gathered at an outdoor memorial, holding candles and signs as they quietly remember lives lost. Behind them, the winter sky is dim and the mood is heavy but calm. CTV reporter Jessica Robb is there to cover the event. She stands in front of the camera during a live newscast, talking to the anchor in the studio about why people have come out and what the night means to the families present. At first, everything sounds normal. She begins to describe the scene and the messages she's heard from those in attendance. Then she starts to stumble over her words. A sentence breaks apart halfway through, and she tries to begin again. Her body language shifts. She sways slightly where she's standing, her focus slipping as she looks more and more unsteady.
People we spoke with say they were happy that something is being done, but this is something that they've been asking for since day one. So for them, this is about 1,000 days too late. Now, Nariman, looking at after the day, families are pushing the feds to. Sorry, Nariman, I'm not feeling very well right now, and I'm about to.
Okay, we'll come back to me right now, and we'll make sure that, Jessica, you are doing okay. Thank you. We will make sure that Jessica is okay. So, and we will give you guys an update a little bit later to make sure that she is doing all right. She is not alone. She is with...
Jessica says she doesn't feel well. Her voice trails off as she struggles to keep going. The effort to stay upright and finish the thought is visible on camera in those few seconds. The control room makes a quick decision. The live picture from the memorial disappears, and the broadcast cuts back to the studio. The anchor lets viewers know they will check on Jessica and move on with the rest of the program, while the crew focuses on her well-being. Later, the station issues an update. They thank viewers for their concern and explain that Jessica has experienced a medical episode, is now safe, and is recovering off camera. Jessica also reassures people that she is okay and appreciates the support. The clip continues to be shared as an example of how suddenly things can change on live television. Is the morning of January 3rd, 2022. In the TV Alterosa studio in Virginia, the lunchtime news show Alterosa Alerta Sul de Minas is on air. Viewers across the region see a familiar face, 36-year-old anchor Rafael Silva, usually known for presenting Jornal das Sete. He is standing in front of the camera, delivering the day's stories. The pace is quick but routine as he reads the headlines and moves from one subject to the next. Nothing in the first moment suggests anything out of the ordinary. Then, in the middle of a line, Rafael suddenly falters. His words stop, his posture shifts. In a split second, he looks unsteady, as if the strength has gone out of his legs, while he is still trying to stay upright. He loses consciousness and drops out of frame.
A polícia militar foi chamada na zona rural de Ribeirão Vermelho. Sabe por quê?
Olá, muito boa tarde.
One moment he is visible behind the desk. The next, he has fallen from view in the studio. The image holds only for an instant before the control room switches away from the live shot. Off camera, the team reacts immediately. Colleagues rush to his side and call emergency services. A SAMU ambulance and local firefighters arrive at the station and take him to Hospital Humanitas for urgent care. Doctors there confirm he has had a serious heart episode. They report that he suffered cardiac arrest more than once before being stabilized in intensive care. Over time, his condition improves as treatment continues. In the days that follow, more details are shared. Rafael explains that specialists found a small structural problem in his heart, a mitral annular disjunction, and that he now has an implanted defibrillator to protect him from further events. It is September 3rd, 2022. KJRH's Weekend Morning News is on the air in Tulsa. Julie Chin is at the desk, reading a story about a local event tied to NASA's Artemis wine launch. The pace is calm, the segment routine. Halfway through the script, something shifts. Julie stumbles over a word, then another. She tries again, but the sentence won't come out the way it should. Her delivery slows as she looks at the prompter, trying to form the next line. She pauses, realizing it isn't a simple flub.
The Tulsa Air and Space Museum is hosting a launch today at the event. The event features live. I'm sorry, something is going on with me this morning, and I apologize to everybody. Let's just go.
Her coworkers call 911 and move to help her off set. She is taken to the hospital for tests as the show continues without returning to her shot. Later, Julie explains what happened. She says she lost partial vision in one eye, her hand and arm went numb, and the words on the prompter stopped translating into speech. Doctors tell her she experienced the beginnings of a stroke, caught early enough to avoid long-term damage. It is November 19th, 2018. Inside a small studio in Eskişehir, the lights are bright and steady. Canal 26 is airing its local sports program, Spor Yorum, where presenter Şükrü Oytan and his co-host are discussing Eskişehirspor's latest match in Turkey's second division. The segment is calm and routine. Şükrü sits at the desk, going over the team's performance and the goals from the weekend. His co-presenter listens beside him, waiting to add his own analysis. Then Şükrü goes quiet. In the middle of a sentence, he pauses. His head lowers slowly until his forehead is resting against the desk. For a few seconds, he stays there, trying to steady himself. His co-host looks over, confused. He starts to stand, sensing something is wrong. Before he can reach him, Şükrü's balance gives way. He slips sideways off his chair and disappears from view, falling to the studio floor. The program cuts immediately. Staff off camera rush to help, and emergency services are called to the station. Paramedics arrive and take Şükrü to the hospital for urgent evaluation. The channel releases an update later that day. They explain that he has a heart rhythm condition and had a pacemaker fitted just days earlier. Doctors say what happened on air was a brief medical episode and that he is now stable and improving. It is a Saturday morning in March 2023. Los Angeles is waking up to the weekend. On KCAL's morning news, the anchors are chatting at the desk, ready to toss to the weather update for the day ahead. Meteorologist Alissa Carlson Schwartz is waiting on the side of the set. The camera shifts to her as she prepares to introduce the forecast. She smiles and gets ready to start her segment, standing behind the weather desk under the studio lights. As she starts to speak, something looks off. Her expression changes and her eyes roll upward. She leans forward onto the desk in front of her, the motion slow, but clearly not part of the normal presentation. A second later, she collapses. Her body slumps forward and then drops out of frame.
And I'm Michelle Medina in for Sheba, who is ready for some sunshine. I know I am. Let's start off with a check of your next weather with meteorologist Alissa Carlson. She joins us live in the studio. Alissa, this really is the calm before the storm.
Not again. No. Oh.
You know, we're going to go ahead and go to break right now.
Yeah. We'll be right.
The station cuts away immediately. The broadcast goes to a break, and the anchors and crew move off camera to check on her and make sure she receives medical attention right away. Later that day, the station shares an update. They explain that Alissa experienced a fainting episode on air, that she was treated, and that she is recovering. She also thanks viewers for their concern and reassures people that she is okay.